There hasn't been a new asset class since the bond market in 1693. Well, now there's a new asset class, and it is the digital asset space. The question is, are you participating? Hey, what's going on, guys? It's the Crypto Siege with another day in the life, in the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good afternoon. Happy, what is this? Is this Saturday, Friday? I don't even know. Happy Saturday to you. Good to see you guys today. Man, oh man, what a great day to be in the digital asset space. I gotta tell you, do you feel blessed? I do. I hope that you do as well. Good to see you guys today. Yeah, it's funny thing. I woke up this morning. Me and this Crypto Siege actually slept in. And shoot, before you know it, it was like, before I knew it, it was 9:30 in the morning. 9:30 in the morning. Yeah, I got a text from my dude, DeepMind. This dude texted me. I feel really bad. This dude texted. He texted at 6:30 in the morning. Texted. Turn me on to agency. Pay attention to agency in that executive order. So I went looking into that, and man, oh man, I did a video about it. Posted it. You know, I didn't finish the video till 11 something in the morning, then posted it. And yeah, it was just a fight. And then I said on that video, then, you know, the XRP Ripple daily news in 0 to 10 minutes, I said, stay tuned for a later stream to go deep diving into it. Right. And shoot, lo and behold, DeepMind texts me later and says that later during the day and said, did he actually put something on Coil? I didn't even know he was doing things on Coil. So we're going to go check that out as well. And I got to tell you, it is essentially the exact same thing that I went through in my video. So that gets me really excited because I'm kind of feeling like we're thinking alike. Great minds think alike. So I'm excited about that for sure. Absolutely excited about that for sure. Mickey B. Fresh shares something that he believes is the reason this particular Medium blog helps to clear up for a lot of people why the XRP price is kind of where it is. It's a little on the technical side, more on the physicist side, in my opinion. So we'll look at that as well. But yeah, shout out to DeepMind for turning. You guys all know how DeepMind does his thing, right? So yeah, we're going to go over that as well. Shout out to Yeshua Taylor. I don't know if a lot of you guys know Yeshua Taylor. I'm not even know if I'm saying his name correctly. But this is a guy who's been deep diving for a long time. He's been deep diving for a while. He was the guy who actually turned me on to the ISO 20022. I'll never forget it. I was out in Leesburg, Virginia at the gym. And somehow I came across him on my channel feed, right? The YouTube feed. Went to check him out. He does a lot of good deep dives, and found out he's on Twitter as well. And I reached out to him on Twitter, but at least attempted to reach out to him on Twitter. And I didn't get a response because I was definitely wanting to see if we could hook up and get him on the channel. But he shared something on Twitter as well that I think is, and again, 2018, he put out this video about the European Payments Council. Really good stuff. So we're going to cover just a little bit of that as well. So guys, listen, thank you so much for hanging out. Let's say who is here. What's up, Wen Mullen? Good to see you, brother. Giveson Centine is here. XRP Lava is in the building. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. 416 Crypto is in. How about that? Good to see you today. XRP Rocket Man, what's going on, my friend? Let me see. I forgot one of my banners. Let's do this one. Yeah, so a great day, right? It's going to be a nice warm day. I know a lot of people are probably hanging out on a beautiful Saturday afternoon like that, so I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Without question. XRP Rocket Man, D. Kirchner, how are you? Good to see you. So if any of you guys didn't catch the video I did this morning, the XRP Ripple Daily News in 0 to 10 minutes, you want to check that video out as well. It only lasts like 10 to 15 minutes. Flex R or Flex R. Is that Flex XRP version 3? What's up, Siege? What's up with you, my dude? Good to see you. Is that the dude? I think that's the dude. I apologize if you're not. Immediately. Hail's coming. What's going on with Mullet? Dude's brain is deep. Yes, indeed. It is. It really, really is. Wavy K is here. What's going on, Wavy K? Good to see you on the stream today. I don't think I've seen you before, my friend, in the stream. Where are you checking in from? Where are you guys checking? Where are you checking in from, Wavy K? It's pronounced Joshua? Okay. Okay. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, really sharp guy. And I tell you, he's been doing some really, really good videos. Definitely go check him out on YouTube. Give him a sub. Check out his videos. Sun is out and it's still storming. Wow, that's heavy. That is heavy, heavy, heavy. 416 crypto. I appreciate that. Yeah, so please hit the like and subscribe, guys. If you didn't have a chance to do that, smash the likes on the way in. Just collapse the chat and go smash the like, then come back and hang out. Pittsburgh, I always watch you. I got multiple accounts. Oh, cool. Appreciate that, Wavy K. Appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate you being here big time. So, guys, yeah, I know it feels like I'm beating a dead horse, but we have to cover this executive order again. And what are the implications? DeepMind does a really good job sharing some stuff. And it's so funny that when I read the article, it was like, man, that's the exact same place that I went. It is the exact same place that he went. But he turned me on to agency and what that looks like. And I got to tell you, I was really, really excited about it. And I shared couple of the agency definitions. I brought in Brian Brooks from the OCC, and I'm going to tell you why. Hopefully, I think DeepMind might have covered that as well in his Coil blog as well. So, guys, let's get into this Coil blog and see where DeepMind is taking us. I think I know that it's a really interesting, it's a great read for sure. It is a great read for sure. Let's get into this because this was a pretty interesting thing. I felt really, really good knowing that I was at one moment in time in my life, I was on the same level as DeepMind. That was pretty good. All right, so let's check this out, guys. Let's check this out. Where's that at? Okay, there it is. So this is DeepMind. Look at DeepMind doing this thing here. Got his on Coil. Make sure you guys go to coil.com and follow DeepMindLab. DeepMindLab. Look at this. Look at this banner. So there it is right there. XRP regulatory clarity initiated. Yes, because guys, in the end, I know there's a lot of videos about what's going to happen when XRP, this and, the volume, and we need liquidity and utility, and, the partnerships are amping up, and wait till SBI goes live, all of these different things, but none of it matters. Nothing is as significant as regulatory clarity, right? So here it is. Let's go through this. For brevity, I have focused on small excerpts with bolded and underlined portions for our discussion purposes. Blogging reading key. So EO, whenever you see EO, that stands for executive order. So on May 19th of 2020, the White House released executive order on regulatory relief to support economic recovery, right? See excerpt below of the recent President Donald Trump's executive order. And I'm going to read it the way, I know we went over this a couple of times now, but I'm going to read it the way he has it here. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. It is the policy of the United States to combat the economic consequences. He has that both, right? Of the beer code with the same vigor and resourcefulness for which the fight against the beer code itself has been waged. bold and black agencies should address this economic emergency by rescinding, modifying, waiving, or providing exemptions from regulations and other requirements that may inhibit economic recovery, right? You know, I was on this, right? This rescinding, this modifying, right? And he believes the same thing as well. That's why he's got them in bold, big black, bold letters, right? Consistent with applicable law and with the protection of the public health and safety, with national homeland security, and with budgetary priorities and operational feasibility. They should also give businesses, especially small businesses, the confidence they need to reopen by providing guidance on what the law requires, recognizing the efforts of businesses to comply with often complex regulations and complicated and swiftly changing circumstances, and by committing to fairness in administrative enforcements and adjudication. Okay, so the asterisks here, section 1 above, we see the executive order targeting agencies. This is significant. While the beer code being the reason for the executive order, there seems to be more than meets the eye. While this executive order seems only associated with health-related activities, we see additional language pointing to associated or interdependent entities and associated negative fallout from the beer code. So in real terms, and I love that, you know, what his background, right? Right, that it's really because he understands, because, you know, they're the ones who write all these things, right? So in real terms, does this only mean any entity that has been affected negatively? Question mark. Let's keep digging. We will use an additional portion of the excerpt from section 1 above to dig for further nuggets of clarity. And here he says, agencies. Agencies should address this economic emergency by rescinding, modifying, waiving, or providing exemptions from regulations and other requirements that may inhibit economic recovery, consistent with applicable law and with protection of the public health and safety, with national and homeland security, and with budgetary priorities and operational feasibility. We now see reference to agencies. We need to determine what is an agency. We look no further than the executive order itself in section B. It gives a definition. Emergency authorities means any statutory or regulatory authorities or exceptions that authorize action in an emergency, in exigent circumstances, for good cause, or in similar situations. Agency has the meaning given in section 3502 of Title 44 of the United States Code. Both of these things I went over, with the agency part, I went over in the video I did earlier today. So we now have a reference to pursue, agency, fitting this definition per section 3502 of Title 44 U.S. Code, right? And so there's a U.S. Code. You read that, you go to the Gov site, a little on the challenging side. An easier way to read it was from the Cornell University. So let's check this out. It says, perfect. According to Cornell University School of Law, we see a definition per section 3502 of Title 44 of the United States Code. All right, my underlined portion equals points of interest. Okay, so the term agency, Cornell University Law says, agency means any executive department, military department, government corporation, government controlled corporation, or other establishment in the executive branch of the government, including the executive office of the president or any independent regulatory agency. Now, this is the same exact definition in the Gov thing, right? You go to the .gov, you look up the title and whatever. This is the exact definition. It's just in that Gov doc, it's extremely hard to find it and read it because it's like teeny, tiny, right? So this is what it says in the Gov. The Cornell University the .gov site. The Cornell University just took it, made it bigger and bolder and easy for us to read. But I think it's really, really important. Any executive department he has highlighted, underlined. He also has underlined other establishment in the executive branch and the executive branch of the government is important to note. And also, which I found to be the most important part when I did my video this morning, is independent regulatory agency. We have arrived pointedly or independent regulatory agency. Let's take a look from the SEC's website. It is the responsibility of the commission to interpret and enforce federal securities laws, issue new rules and amend existing rules, oversee the inspection of securities firms, brokers, investment advisors, and rating agencies, oversee private regulatory organizations in the securities accounting and auditing fields, and coordinate U.S. securities regulation with federal law, with federal, state, and foreign authorities. Now, why does he bring up the SEC, right? So let's go here. The term, this is from, again, Cornell Law School. The term independent regulatory agency. You scroll down here and you will see two very, very important independent regulatory agencies, in my humble opinion. All right. So the first one, the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. Right? Brian Brooks, right? Former chief legal officer at Coinbase, now the chief operating officer at the OCC. Right? And here, right above those, is the Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, in my video, I covered the Office of the Comptroller and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau because both of those entities state without hesitation and acknowledge without hesitation, digital assets and or Ripple and XRP. Without hesitation, without reservation. Everyone's been covering the recent article put out, the recent notice put out by the Bureau of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And we also covered Brian Brooks at the OCC and his thing with the banks, right? And so we have both of them. Here's the Brian Brooks one. U.S. banking regulator suggests federal licensing framework for crypto firms as a key bank. He's the key bank regulator in the United States, may be open to allowing crypto companies to be licensed as financial institutions on a national level. Okay, on a national level, right? So we got the OCC and we got the CFPB, right? Protection Bureau, right? These are the agencies. Where was I? Right here. Important to note, and he's covering the SEC. He's got them highlighted, underlined rather. Intrigued indeed. Okay, what we do, the mission of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is to protect investors, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets, and facilitate capital formation as more and more first-time investors turn to the markets to help secure their futures, pay for homes, and send their children to college. How about that? Our investor protection mission is more compelling than ever. Intriguing indeed, writes DeepMind. It appears we are on the right track here. Let's unpack all of this and attempt to make sense of this dense language. Okay, so he went the SEC route. Okay, we will create a new test of sorts below to validate the veracity of our accumulated assumptions thus far. The Howey Test 2.0, unofficially dubbed DeepMind theory. Does the SEC itself satisfy the eligibility requirement to be an agency? Well, I just showed you that According to Cornell law, they do fall under that, as referred to by the executive order, as well as further clarified in the legal definition ordered by Cornell Law University. The answer is yes. Second question, is there a current economic emergency? The answer is yes. Third question, can regulatory agencies, including the SEC, now provide regulatory exemptions, including crypto entities, based on this new executive order? The answer is yes. Are there existing tech companies whose technology specifically can help combat the economic emergency? The answer is yes. And if you need further proof of that, let's just check. No, what happened there? Let's just check this out. Again, this is for Yeshua Taylor was responding to someone's tweet. Where is that at? What happened there? Let me see here. Let me check this out. I don't know why that did that. I should have just stayed there. But anyway. Now I'm going to be mad if I cannot find that tweet. I'll come back to it. Man, it was a really good tweet. All right. So are there existing tech companies whose technology specifically can help combat the economic emergency? Answer, yes. Can the SEC and other regulatory bodies who meet the legal definition of agency now have the power to rescind, modify, waive, or provide exemptions to current SEC regulations? The answer is yes. And how many times have we been saying on this channel? The Donald has a plan. The President of the United States, he has a plan. Right? You just got to have a plan. You just can't let someone who's looking to replace the US dollar as the reserve currency, just let them do it. And we all know that we're talking about China. Certainly the Donald has a plan. You guys with me on that, right? So when can the SEC and other regulatory bodies who meet the legal definition of agency start using these new powers? The answer is immediately. We are currently in an emergency situation that is significant. Without question. Without question. The answer is hinted at below. Emergency authority means any statutory or regulatory authorities or exceptions that authorize action in an emergency. To avoid any confusion, the executive order further clarifies which entities are not given this power. And why do you think that is? Because if those particular entities or agencies are not in alignment with what the Donald wants, they will be excluded. If they're not in alignment with pushing forward the Donalds, the president of the United States plan, they will be conveniently excluded, right? And they mention them, right? So the Government of Accountability Office, the GAO, isn't that interesting? Yeah, they're not part of this. The Federal Election Commission, not part of it. You get it? See what I'm saying? You guys see what I'm saying? So anyway, here's his final thoughts on this whole thing. It would be premature to profess with 100% accuracy as to whether regulatory clarity is now in play regarding this unprecedented executive order. I'm glad he said that, because I agree. I find it very, very odd that people just aren't covering this. I really, really do. Regarding this unprecedented executive order. Yes, it would be inept to not see this executive order as clearing the runway to proceed boldly by destroying the last remaining barrier towards regulatory clarity. You see what I'm saying? You see where DeepMindLab is going with this? You got to understand his background. You got to understand from which he thinks, right? That's the thing, right? That's what we said when we talked about it, when we first covered this on the channel. When we first covered this executive order, what is it about? What's the intention behind it? What are they looking to do by putting this executive order out there? Is it going to deal with crypto? Has it do something with crypto? Does it give them regulatory clarity? That's why we covered the OCC in the video this morning. That's why we covered Brian Brooks. I should have pulled out the consumer PDF as well, Financial Protection Bureau as well, who mentions Ripple and its digital asset. Right? So, and then I'm going to find this Yeshua Taylor thing. I don't know why Twitter does that, but anyway. So, it would be premature to profess with 100% accuracy as to whether regulatory clarity is now in play regarding this unprecedented executive order. And I'm so excited that he mentioned that unprecedented executive order. All right. Yes, it would be inept to not see this executive order as clearing the runway to proceed boldly by destroying the last remaining barrier towards regulatory clarity. In the light of China's developing and now on the verge of launching, in light of China's developing and now on the verge of launching their own digital solution, it would make sense, given the timing of the executive order, more than ever now, the White House would need to be seen as upping the ante. It will make sense, given the timing of this executive order. More than ever now, the White House would need to be seen as upping the ante. If it's one thing the United States have always shown historically, go big or go home. The nuclear digital currency war countdown clock just started ticking. China has just moved the world towards the 1 o'clock position. How will the United States respond? What do you think? Shout out to DeepMind. I got to tell you, great job there, my friend. He pointed out the significance of what the SEC can do in terms of regulatory clarity. And I believe he is spot on. This is Joshua, right? Up the ante, right? In other words, China has, I don't know if they've gone all in or not, but they have certainly put up a big wager, right? They're certainly bet big by going forward, moving forward, and pretty much first in launching its own digital currency. And no one is disillusioned by the fact that they want to replace the US dollar with the renminbi as the world's global reserve currency. This is what they want to do. This is what they want to do. In fact, Ray Dalio, who many consider to be, the most successful hedge fund manager ever, is suggesting that China is in fact in place to do that very thing. Now, I understand it's a little bit of bias there because I'm told that China, the PBOC, has $5 to $6 billion invested in Ray Dalio's fund. So it may be a little bit of a slant what Ray Dalio is saying, but make no mistake about it. This is what China is looking to do. Now, Jim Rickards seems to think that China is not as financially well. They're not as financially healthy as they're leading people to believe. That's what Jim Rickards thinks. What's going on, the dude? Good to see you on the stream, my friend. So the ante, right? China's moving forward, and they're letting the world know, Sir Captain Sticks, that they want to replace the United States dollar as the world's reserve currency with their currency, the RMB. That is without question. And so when the president puts out an unprecedented executive order allowing agencies with regulatory oversight to move forward with more clarity, it has to make you think that digital assets is the answer. And again, I just don't believe that the Donald is going to let a company, a good old USFA company who is making moves with their fintech software and its digital asset to ease the friction in global cross-border payments, in addition, can provide liquidity. It's no coincidence that David Schwartz has come out and talked about this stable coin that's backed or pegged to XRP, and XRP is used as collateral. There's no coincidence of that. It's no coincidence, in my opinion. Arthur Brittle states that XRP was designed for a $7.4 billion problem. How long have we heard Chris Larson and David Schwartz say that what the thing they need more so than anything is regulatory clarity, a framework from which they can continue to move forward? What is the SEC going to say now? That there's no frame. What is the SEC going to say now? The president of the United States has just given them permission to move forward because of this emergency. Because of this emergency. That's what he's done. And he's also given it to the OCC, who is the bank of the banks in terms of regulatory clarity. So now, hypothetically, banks can hold digital assets without getting themselves in trouble. Banks can hold the digital asset without having to have a pristine book. Noting this, noting that, noting this, noting that. You know what I'm saying? The books don't have to be pristine anymore. And not only that, they can now hold this digital asset to use it. And how might they perhaps be able to use it? Would it be to free up the trillions of dollars in Nostrovosha accounts? I don't know. Feels like it, though. Would this perhaps allow them to really implement this velocity of money? I don't know, but it feels like it, though. There's a reason why there's a reason why Brad Garlinghouse, I get it. He's probably got the blinders on, but what does he have the blinders on? What are they focusing on there over at Ripple? What is it? Because if I was a betting man, I would suspect that they knew about this executive order or something like it ahead of time. Because I don't believe that the Donald is going to let a good old USFA company with a solution to friction and cross-border payments, with a solution to the illiquidity that's going on globally. Globally, there's an illiquidity challenge. Globally, the movement, the velocity of money is darn near, right? Non-existent. Thank you, Win Mullet. Hey, Jackie 33, good to see you, miss. Yep. Right? And this is a good old USFA company. Again, I don't know, but I just don't see the Donald letting this opportunity slip by. We've been saying it for months and months and months and months. Two things. How can he let a good old USFA company with fintech and a digital asset that helps to stymie not all the world's problems, but certainly in terms of cross-border payments and illiquidity and the movement of money that Cryptopolis talks about all the time? Are you telling me there's a digital asset that's going to allow their banks to perhaps get access to, maybe slowly but surely, to tens of trillions of dollars? That's what Chris Larson and Brad Garlinghouse is saying. XRP will allow them access to that trillions and trillions of dollars that's locked up. And the Donald's going to let that opportunity go by. He's just going to let Ripple just keep going, doing what they're doing globally, all over the world, setting up spots all over the world. I heard they're getting ready to open up. I heard that they're going to open up an office in Ghana now, in Africa. And continuing to get the banks of the world on this RippleNet. He's going to let this opportunity slip by? I don't think so. I don't think so. And like we always say on the channel, if we know what XRP can do, they know. They know. I mean, between Ken Curson and Greg Kidd, zero chance that the Donald doesn't know. He may not know the intimate inner workings the way that you and I do about XRP, but certainly he knows. He's got the highlights, right? He has the cliff notes of what XRP can do. Certainly he has that. Him and Mnuchin. Yes, I did see that, the dude. I actually covered that last night a little bit. But the other part of that as well is, let me share this. Apparently there's been some scams already in reference to the yuan, the dude, already. People out there already in China trying to take advantage of investors. Sad, sad, sad. At Crypto Siege, I saw something pop on Yahoo Finance that China launched a yuan crypto or something. Did you see that? I did. Covered it for a little bit on the stream yesterday. Sure did. Chucky 33, you're right. Mnuchin knows without question. And the Donald signed off on the new another executive order, 13772, I believe it to be, right? Mnuchin and his guy put it together, and the Donald signed off on it, where it mentioned the company Ripple. Guess who else knows about the company Ripple? The European Payments Council. That was the wrong link. Okay. That was the wrong link, Jackie. Yeah, Capello MG. What does working capital look like, my friend? That's exactly the first thing we said when we saw this new hire that Ripple was looking to put in, right? They put out this director for loans. What does working capital look like? So we got the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau mentioning Ripple, and it's not only did it mention Ripple, it mentioned XRP. Not only did they mention Ripple and XRP, they mentioned the fact that it can both provide, that Ripple can provide a better messaging system of clarity and transparency, and they mentioned the fact that XRP was as a settlement. They knew both things. And they're part of this regulatory, right? This other regulatory agency in this executive order, right? So, and the OCC. So you got the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the OCC included, given this carte blanche, if you will, green light, if you will, to move forward. And the reason why the OCC, because Brian Brooks, the former chief legal officer at Coinbase, who is extremely bullish on digital assets, is now at the OCC, which is the bank overseer, bank regulator of the banks. They're the ones that say that you can move forward doing this, or you can't move forward doing this, Mr. and Mr. Bank, Mr. Bank A and Mrs. Bank B. He's the dude in charge of that. Right? He's the dude in charge of it, right? Let me share what he said again. U.S. banking regulator suggests federal licensing framework for crypto firms. Brian Brooks, former chief legal officer at Coinbase, is now the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency chief operating officer. A key bank regulator, the key bank regulator is what that should read, my friend, in the United States may be open to allowing crypto companies to be licensed as financial institutions on a national level rather than state by state. Brian Brooks, the COO of the USOCC, the nation's national bank overseer, said Monday he believes crypto companies could fall under a federal licensing regime if they provide what can be described as payment services. So this dude has just gotten the green light to move forward with some of the ideas and beliefs that he has about crypto companies. You guys see what I'm saying? Speaking at CoinDesk's Consensus distributed virtual conference, the former Coinbase chief legal officer said many crypto companies are payment companies, and it therefore might make sense to treat these startups and other fintech firms like Stripe the same way as banks are treated federally. Crypto is one of those areas where we have to ask ourselves, does it make more sense to think of crypto projects as local projects or global projects? If they're global, then the rationale for a single national license makes more sense. A single national license, he said. Increasingly, it looks a lot like crypto is banking for the 21st century. This would give these startups an alternative to the state level money transmitter licenses when building operations. He pointed to stablecoins, some tokens, and remittances as examples of where crypto startups might look more like banking services. The charter is different from the OCC's fintech charter in that it doesn't just apply to lending. The fintech charter is based on the idea that banks took deposits, made loans, and were involved in payments. But some institutions might provide only one, like loans, or two of these services. These institutions can still be treated as banks under the OCC's fintech charter. I come back to the idea that are inherently borderless, like crypto, probably makes sense as a license structure. Again, he's been given the green light to move forward on such a thing without somebody from some other regulatory body suggesting otherwise. There's a reason why those others were exempted. Because the Donald, like we've been saying on this channel, has a plan. Right? Brooks also addressed some issues crypto startups have tapping banking services, saying any company that is compliant with applicable laws should be able to tap these services. As crypto matures, there are increasingly many companies that have perfectly robust risk management systems and do have an ability to comply with those laws. And they shouldn't have trouble finding banking relationships, he said. Again, one of my messages in my new role, listen to me, guys. One of my messages in my new role is going to be to remind my colleagues, that would be the other banks at the OCC, that banks not only have the ability, they have an obligation to serve all lawful businesses. One of my messages in my new role is going to be to remind my colleagues at the OCC that banks not only have the ability, they have an obligation to serve lawful businesses. They shouldn't be discriminating because something's a new technology. You think this guy's crypto and digital asset friendly? Yeah, I think so. And my understanding is this dude has a prior banking relationship with Steve Mnuchin. More provocatively, he suggested that crypto startups can potentially even replace the existing banking infrastructure. Though he stopped short of saying that outright. There are technologies that exist that can decentralize and reduce the single points of failure that our economy is mostly built upon, he said. Do you think there's a shot that this dude happens to know about Ripple? You think there's a possibility that he might know about Ripple's technology? If you think back to the lessons of the financial crisis, it's that there are a small number of financial crises, is that there are a small number of institutions in our society that are really so big and so connected with so many people's lives that, in the words of 2008, they were thought to be too big to fail. Decentralizing the risk, if not outright replace this issue, at least help provide some solutions, he said. Banks would have to learn from crypto startups as they continue operations. Banks would have to learn from crypto startups as they continue operations. I think that crypto is going to feed the banking system and change our view of what the bank charter is about. This guy, again, is the national bank overseer. You guys see what I'm saying? right? Yeah, I see what I'm saying. Yeah, absolutely, Jackie 33. No worries, right? I'm not in love with the dude at all either, right? But in the end, you gotta know when someone's talking about trying to make the US of A second best, when someone, I mean, that's literally what China is trying to do, trying to make the US of A second best. If there's a dude that's not going to stand for that, right, it would be the Donald, right? And I say that not from a political agenda. I say that from this is what the man is. The US of A, the US of A, the US of A. And if they're trying to replace the US dollar with the Chinese renminbi, a communist country, it's a challenge there, right? There's a reason why Executive Order 13772 was put together, right? And there's a reason why this new executive order was put together and put out. And for us in the digital asset space, right? Because we can't control the politics. We can't control that. What we can do is understand what the politics are, be 2 and 3 steps ahead of that game, ahead of that madness, so that we can take care of ourselves and our families and help other people to take care of themselves and their families by sharing and spreading the word about this new asset class that is the digital asset space. And that people to this day, from this day, still have an opportunity to be early adopters in an entirely new asset class. Imagine being an early adopter in the commodities asset class. Imagine being early to gold. Imagine being early to silver. Imagine being early to oil. Imagine being early to palladium. Imagine the possibilities. And that's what the average Joe and Jane today has access to today. The bank teller has access and an opportunity to be an early adopter in a new asset class. The truck driver today has an opportunity and access to a new asset class to be an early adopter. Never has that happened. Never. Well, the average Joe, the people like you and I, have access and an opportunity to be an early adopter in a new asset class. And the Donald, it just put out an executive order that is going to allow this innovation, that's going to allow this technology to move forward. That's what it says to me. It says to me, that executive order says to me that they have been given the green light, that he is saying, no, the US is not going to fall behind in this new technology. And that's exactly right? He is saying that no, the US is not going to fall behind. If I have to, I will give these regulators permission to temporarily, to modify, to rescind, to recreate, whatever I got to do to allow our technology to rule the day. That, in my opinions, my friends, my humble opinion, that is exactly what this executive order is about. It's about allowing the good old US of A's technology to go out and rule the day. That's what I believe. I believe that 10,000%. That's what that executive order is about. That's what it's about, in my humble opinion. That's why I've always said, is the Donald going to let this good old US of A company slip through his fingers? Can't you see him talking all things Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson? Can't you see him speaking how this great American company with this great technology Can't you hear this dude echoing those words? I can hear it loud and clear. Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Lawson have not held back, have not held back, no question in their mind that digital asset and the technology will free up trillions and trillions of dollars. Trillions with a T. Trillions. And they both have said what they need to move forward in that goal is regulatory clarity and from which a framework from which to operate in. And in my opinion, that is exactly what the Donald has done with that executive order. Where's your point, Jackie? Because this was a great one. That's right. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. This is exactly right. And remember, this is just like we have to understand that. Remember, the Bilderberg group, they are all on the same team. This partisan politic crap is a distraction for the masses. And we can never, ever forget that. Never, ever forget that. Right? Legendary. What's good, my friend? We're early. Oh, so funny. Right? This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. Generational wealth equals digital assets plus sound savings investments. And hopefully that will be, instruments. And hopefully that will be plural. And in my opinion, you need a multiplier, which is a cash flow business. And we're early in the digital asset game. Early. Early. Well, Mullah, that's a great point too, my friend. A lot of things happen behind the scenes for years, and the current guy gets the credit or the blame, 10,000%. And that, my friend, is the way that it is. You know what I mean? That's right. That's right. No question. Because they're going to get access to the same information, Jackie. You're right. It doesn't matter who's in office. It doesn't matter who's in office. What matters is who has access to the information, and do they have the courage to follow through with it. And this is just, in the end, look, in the end, I love the world. But in the end, this technology is good old US of A technology. It's what it is. Right? What's going on, Barney Rubble? Good to see you in the stream, my friend. Coffee time is here. Hey, coffee time's with Cindy. How are you? Oh my God, I'm so late. No worries. Yeah, catch the replay. It's a great one. We went over DeepMindLab's coil article. It was a great one, Cindy. You definitely want to check that out without question. Guys, I got to tell you, it's been a great hangout without question. Rod Edwin, I appreciate you being here, my friend. Rafael Hakeem, good to see you. Guys, definitely check out the replay of this. DeepMind did a great job on that coil article. And I got to tell you, make sure that you read that executive order. Find out the agencies, again, mentioned the OCC, the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau, and the SEC. All involved, all included in this new executive order. Remember, and the title of it is Executive Order on Regulatory Relief. Regulatory relief to support economic recovery. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up the stream like I do all my streams and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.